What up with you guys? You know who it is. It's your boy, John Mike. Look, I got a special video for you guys today. We have put together a well over 1 hour video on just mixing vocals, lead vocals, background vocals from some of the top producers and engineers in this industry. We're talking Cedric Thompson. We're talking PJ Morton's engineer. We're also talking Yaahn Hunter Jr., John Blass, and I even throw some stuff in there myself. You know what I mean? Just some things that I've learned over the years just hanging around all of these guys. All right. So I hope you really enjoy this video. Let's jump into it and enjoy all of this content. GospelProducers.com.
Now we could get to the vocals. So, I'm going to make this easy for you guys.
Oh, well, hello there.
Let's go to where she starts singing. Well, hello there.
Talking about me across the way. They talking about the things I did yesterday.
So I hear a couple of things with this. First of all, let's start off with the chain. Let's start from nothing. Turn all these off. Turn the effects off.
Talking about me across the way.
Okay.
They talking about the things I did yesterday.
I typically start off with a de-esser on the front end and listen to the vocals too, if they actually have S's and T's and stuff like that. You don't need a de-esser on oohs. I'm guilty of doing this, working from a template. You don't need a de-esser on somebody saying ooh and ah. So first, check to see if there's any S's and plosives and all of that.
Talking about me across the way. They talking about the things I did yesterday. Talking about me across the way.
So it's nothing intense so far.
I did yesterday. And I know I was wrong for a lot of the things that I did and I said, but you still love me. I don't deserve the grace you give towards me, so I give you.
So I'll start there. I'll actually start with a de-esser on as my first line of defense for the plosives. Then after that, I'm going to go into RVox. This is typically what I like to do. RVox is basically like a really fire compressor, but it has its own unique kind of characteristics to it. Notice we don't have like we only just have compression and gain. We don't really have a whole lot, so it's doing multiple things at once.
I did yesterday, and I know I was wrong for a lot of the things.
It sounds warmer. So I like to use that because it gives me the illusion of outboard gear. Like, oh, I recorded with something on the vocal. So that's like the first realm of stuff. So technically, you could put that on the actual tracks themselves where it says lead, all of the leads and stuff. You could technically put those here, but I got it up here because in Logic, you can throw as many plugins on one bus, you know, as you need. I don't use the Infinity EQ anymore. But this is the EQ that came with it, the template.
Yesterday. And I know I was wrong for a lot.
And I know I was wrong. Yeah, you are wrong for EQing the vocal. Like, don't fix that. Okay, we're going to put some Pro Q on here and actually EQ this vocal.
I did yesterday.
Roll off.
And I know I was wrong for a lot of the things that I did and I said, but you I did yesterday. And I know I was wrong.
You got to get used to listening for frequencies that bother you.
I did yesterday. And I know I was wrong for a lot of the things that I did.
So I'm gonna find it. That's a little bit too, yeah, that's narrower.
I did yesterday. And I know I was wrong for.
That's coming from her mic. So we gotta turn that down.
I did yesterday. And I know I was wrong for a lot of the things that I did and I said.
All right, now let's get over here.
I did yesterday.
That's the good stuff.
And I know I was wrong for.
I actually want that to a certain degree because I want to be able to introduce that to the mix, but the right way. So I'm gonna hold off on all that stuff.
I did yesterday. And I know I was wrong for a lot of the things that I did and I said, but you still love.
Nothing else really bothers me, so I'm gonna leave it alone. Now we're gonna go into some compression.
I did yesterday. And I know I was wrong for a lot.
That's a lot of compression for no reason. So again, template. This is where it kind of falls apart. You have to tweak it.
I did yesterday. And I know I was wrong for a lot of the things that I did and I said, but you still love me. I don't deserve the grace you give to.
Rule of thumb, if you hear one compressor doing a whole lot, something is wrong. Especially on the vocal. If you hear one compressor sounding like it's 10 of them, you got to back off like I did. You got to use your ears. So that's a reasonable amount. We don't need, this template is really trash in terms of vocals. We don't need C4 after that compressor. So I'm actually just going to take that off. And I'm going to go into the pull tech next. And start to enhance. We took a lot away, so let's bring back some sauce.
I did yesterday, and I know I was wrong for a lot of the things that I did and I said, but you still love me. I don't deserve the grace you give towards me, so I give you everything. Yeah, I did yesterday. And I know I was wrong for a lot of the things that I did and I said, but you still love me. I don't.
Remember I told you about that de-esser? This is why I put that first.
I did yesterday. And I know I was wrong for a lot of the things that I did and I said, but you still love me.
Oh, that's a pleasant air now. I like that. So I'm going to save that. We're going to move that there. We're going to actually, that's fine. We can keep it as is because I see the CLA 2A is next.
I did yesterday. And I know I was wrong for a lot of the things that I did and I said.
Okay, now it's time to turn on the music.
Mixing is a very, very hard art to master. I know because I've been trying to master this art for several years. That is one of the reasons why I do Mix Mondays. It's a learning environment, and every mix that I do, I learn something new. And I've taken everything that I've learned over the years and we have poured it into our mixing templates. Mixing templates are a great starting place, and we have created several templates that allow you to get up and going quickly, and we have created them for Logic Pro X. We have created them for Pro Tools, for Studio One, for Ableton Live, and so many others. So if you're interested in taking your mixing to the next level or even just getting started, make sure you check out these links down below in the description of this video and grab your template today. All right, back to the show.
Yesterday, and I know I was wrong for a lot of the things that I did and I said, but you still love me. I don't deserve the grace you give towards me, so I give you everything. I did yesterday. I did yesterday. And I did yesterday. And I know I was wrong for a lot of the things that I did and I said, but you still love me. I don't deserve the grace you give towards me, so I give you everything.
So it's just putting her vocal more in the front. Sorry, I got a little quiet there. I was focused. I was dialed in. 2K, remember I told you about that. The human voice where we recognize it in terms of perceived loudness is 2K. That's like a sweet spot. You bump that, vocal starts to come out.
I did yesterday. And I know I was wrong for a lot of the things that I did. I did yesterday.
Okay, now we can put some effects back. So the effects of my choice is H reverb and H delay. These are my weapons of choice. I got the delay in a ping pong, so it's gonna go left to right, and it's literally just gonna add a vibe.
Yesterday, and I know.
All right, let's unmute
yesterday. And I know I was wrong for a lot of the things that I did and I said, but you still love me. I don't deserve the grace you keep towards me, so I give you everything. Yeah.
See how it puts her in a vibe? Now we're vibing with the track, especially in the intro.
It's your girl Chastity here, and
right here.
Yeah.
Now, one thing to help you when a vocal sounds like it's sticking out like a sore thumb, the rule of thumb, see what I did there? Thumb is sometimes it's simply that low end of that bass of their voice. So you might want to come back in there and roll off a little bit of the bass so they don't sound like they stick out like a sore thumb. You want it to sound like it's a part of the same unit.
Right. I ain't talking about it across the way.
Yeah, computers just
about the things I did yesterday. And I know I was wrong for a lot of the things that I did and I said, but you still love me. I don't deserve the grace you keep towards me, so I give you everything.
Now, there's some spots where I like her low end, and there's some spots where I don't like it as much. So this is why I had the multi-band compressor on the vocal. The safest place to put the multi-band is most likely going to be before that last bit of EQ. So now you could put C4 back, and I'll show you why I was there in the first place. The multi-band is going to give you some sauce, like some really good sauce. And then we're literally done after this because the BGV sound perfect with the template stuff. So we're going to reach for C4 and I'm going to clear this out, meaning I'm going to zero everything out and I'm going to find where the base of her vocal is. And I'm going to enhance and control simultaneously right in here, so we can actually bypass the low end, the stuff that we don't need. We can bypass that. This is the juice of where that low end is. I love it and hate it at the same time. So we're going to control it by controlling this band with compression.
Things that I did and I said, but you still love me. I don't deserve the grace towards me, so I give you everything.
So now every time it comes in, it's going to duck that frequency of her voice. Let's listen to it with the track.
All for a lot of the things that I did and I said, but you still love me. I don't deserve the grace you keep towards me, so I give you everything.
Now that's so I give you. We can channel that now and boost some of that up. I'll boost it up about 1.5 dB.
All for a lot of the things that I did and I said, but you still love me. I don't deserve. All for a lot of the things that I did and I said, but you still love me. I don't deserve the grace you keep towards me, so I give you everything.
See what I'm saying? That's the purpose of a multi-band. You can jump in there and accentuate a frequency that may be a love-hate thing. And that's how you could get a really fire vocal chain. What's also bugging me right now is these effects. We need to EQ the effects. Yes, you need to EQ your effects. Believe it or not, you want to roll off the low end on the effects too, because the effects can carry other frequencies that you're not mindful of, and you'd be like, man, why do I get a low rumble when I hear reverb? Because it has it in there.
All for a lot of the things that I did and I said, but you still love me.
And I'm gonna do a roll off on the top end of it too, of the reverb.
I don't deserve the grace you give towards me, so I give you everything. Yeah.
Now the whole song is starting to sound clean. That's why when I played the rough, hear that it was rough, even though the blend between instruments sounded good, but the mix sonically needs a lot of work.
All for a lot of the things that I did and I said, but you still love me. I don't deserve the grace you give towards me, so I give you everything. Yeah, I don't understand why you love me. I don't understand why you do. I don't understand why you chose me. Listen, 'cause I don't deserve it, and I didn't earn it. Yeah, yeah. It's your love for me. Oh.
Last but not least, de-esser. We're gonna de-ess on the way out of the lead vocal.
Things that I did and I said, but you still love me. I don't deserve the grace you give towards me, so I give you everything. Yeah, I don't understand why you love me. I don't understand why you do. I don't understand why you chose me. Listen, 'cause I don't deserve it, and I didn't earn it. Yeah, yeah. It's your love for me. Oh.
Boom. And we got a mix. That's like what you call mix one after we do that. Of course, we got to automate and stuff like that, but everything is living where it needs to live.
Today, I want to introduce to you Loop Elements Pro. This represents a very innovative new way of using loops. And guess what? It's standalone, not only as a plugin, but it's also standalone outside of the DAW, which means you can now use loop elements in your live performance. This isn't just a plugin. It's the ultimate tool for creatives and producers. Whether you're layering loops, creating click track, creating beats, building arrangements, soundscapes, Loop Elements Pro gives you the power to create without limits. Loop Elements Pro is now available. Go get it now.
The way I normally like to mix my vocals, some vocals I generally don't like to have all of my vocals panned hard left and hard right. Sometimes I'll go for that, but most of the time I don't, because I kind of like for them to kind of still have their own space, you know, within the dimensions sonically. So, but what I did here on Lucinda's background vocals, I kept hers panned hard left and hard right so that she could be the wall of the vocals here. As you can hear right here. To the guitar. Okay. So here, what I did was on Sharia's vocal, her top vocal, you'll see I have her panned 97 on both sides, which is the, and then Lejeune, I have her inside of Sharia, and then on those same parts where Sharia and Lejeune are singing the same parts, I have them panned the same on both sides as well. Then the tenor parts, I like to have them more inside of the vocals as well. And I have them sending, I have Sharia's going to her own aux, and I kind of doubled, I pulled out this doubler here, just to add a little more not necessarily width to it, but a little more nuance, a little more body as well. I didn't want to necessarily do it with EQ. So that was my reason for doing that with her. I send them all to this aux, and here I pull up the that max volume here. I'm de-essing them, of course, to be able to retain some of the sibilance. This is a limit. This here is really a mastering limiter. Well, this is what it was intended for, but I actually I normally always use it on my vocals as well, and I use it to be able to sit in a particular place. Hold on, let me pull these vocals here so you can hear exactly what I'm saying here, and you can hear what they're doing. Okay. Okay, without it. With. And it's transparent. It's by a company called Massey, and they have a few. They didn't make a lot of plugins. They have a few plugins. I think they have another compressor plugin. I think it's CT5. One of their earlier versions is CT4 or so. So it always sits on my vocals, my background vocal chain. And again, I'm pulling up the RDSer to tame, some of the sibilance. And of course, my go-to as well with the LA2A. I normally do 2 sets of verbs as well. And as you can see here, here they're actually doing the same, but this here should be set to a different pre-delay. I have both of these set to, and this is a stock reverb here. Normally, I'm now using. I normally use the my go-to is the LX480 a reverb that's in my template now, but this the classic Deverb. I have both of those set. One is doing a different pre-delay. I'm sorry, than the other one, and both of them set at a large plate, and I'm sending one a different amount versus the other. You'll see one is at minus 11.3, and the other one is at minus 15.8. From there, I'm doing the same thing here with my mod delay. And then I don't have this here, but normally I would have I normally use Echo Boy to add some more delays on there just to give it a little more space as well. So that's my normal approach as it relates to my vocal chain and my send and returns as it relates to my BGVs. And again, this is what, let me reselect them here. This is what they sound like. Okay.
Mixing is a very, very hard art to master. I know because I've been trying to master this art for several years. That is one of the reasons why I do Mix Mondays. It's a learning environment, and every mix that I do, I learn something new. And I've taken everything that I've learned over the years and we have poured it into our mixing templates. Mixing templates are a great starting place, and we have created several templates that allow you to get up and going quickly, and we have created them for Logic Pro X. We have created them for Pro Tools, for Studio One, for Ableton Live, and so many others. So if you're interested in taking your mixing to the next level, or even just getting started, make sure you check out these links down below in the description of this video and grab your template today. All right, back to the show.
All right, and so the approach that I took on Lucinda's vocal here, you'll see that I duplicated her vocal, and I left the initial one untouched. I did all my adjustments going in as it relates to compression on it. I generally don't like to go in with a lot of compression, just a little bit to be able to just tame it suddenly. So here you see that there's nothing on it here. The second aspect of it, I put up a 76 here, you know, just to kind of set it at a level and have it steady as well. And I'm sending it to its designated arc as well. I have it with a, starting off the chain here with a de-esser again to just tame, you know, some sibilance. That's feeding into my trusted LA2A. And I have that sitting here with my max volume just to keep it out of threshold as well. And I pulled up the UAD pull tech, you know, just to kind of add some body to it. And I like the top end that the pull tech adds to elements. It's not harsh or the whole nine, and the mere fact that you can attenuate, you know, each one of those different frequencies as well. So, and then at the end of that chain, I added another LA 2A here as well, and I have those sending to the LX 480 Verb, and again I'm using that that send as well, going into a mod delay again just to add some width and some depth to it without trying to do all of that with reverb as well. And just added another instance of delay, and which is what you hear here.
It's a sound in the atmosphere. It's a sound ringing in my ear.
And some of that, especially on this, I had to approach with these compressors as well to be able to change some of that leakage. Because again, Lucinda, she likes her headphones blasting. So some of this approach as it relates to the other instances of these compressors is the reason why I have those inserted as well, just to be able to kind of tame those as well in between her lines, or even while she's going on, because I did, of course, some cleanups in the middle of it. But that's that chain there, and let's listen to it with and without.
A sound ringing in my ear. Lord,
Okay, and as I'm pulling these in, you can hear what
it's a sound in the atmosphere.
And if you'll notice, so a lot of producers or engineers, sometimes, you know, they would tell you as well, you know, to pay attention to your meters, you know, in the whole nine. I do. I pay attention to my meters, but to a default, I make sure I'm going by my ear as it relates to what sounds good as well, you know. So just because it looked like it may be slamming the meters, but if it sounds good to me, doesn't make me any difference. I'm going for it. So and here, let me get to this section here. You can see it looks like it's slamming this meter to life.
A sound ringing in my ear.
But it works for the sound that I'm going for, you know. And with it, this is the outcome. Okay. And that's my approach to this song and how I approach the mix on it. And hopefully you were able to learn something as it relates to what to do or even what not to do.
GospelProducers.com. So I had 3 vocalists on this channel. One was Pastor Tolan Morgan, who's the actual artist that's the principal artist of this record. And then I had John P. Key. And then I had, and it looks real crazy now because I was trying to show something. So these actual waves look something like that. That's probably the normal size of the waves. So I had Pastor Tolan, and then I had Pastor John P. Key, and then I had Pastor Tim Rogers on this record. 3 different vocalists recording from 3 different places with 3 different mics. Pastor Tolan did a combination of singing and talking at the same time. So what I did was I separated his singing tracks, his singing and his talking tracks. Let me turn all these off red so I don't, off touch so I don't inadvertently mess up these mixes for a second. And then we'll talk about the lead. I want to talk about the vocals at first, and then we're at the track level. Then we'll talk about the bus level where all the action is happening. So that's where he was singing. It's another day. So I got his singing tracks here. Every time, anything you see on this track right here is something that he was singing. But then he was also doing his Kirk Franklin thing and just talking, you know, like, so if I go in this space right here.
Lamentations chapter 3, verse 23.
So that presents a interesting challenge because you got an artist that's talking, singing, talking, singing. And if you treat the entire file as one whole, you're going to run into issues. So that's why I did some separation real quick on it, as you can see. So when we go to his actual talking,
it's another day.
You got that on the singing. I don't know why I keep doing that. Sorry.
But he made all. And so today.
So we got that going on. Just messing around with this EQ on this. And the reason this EQ probably looks as crazy as it does is because I was trying to get the vocals to match as close as possible between John P. Key's mic, Pastor Tolan's mic, the talking voice, and the singing voice. So you just get in, you start getting in Pro Q, you start soloing bands, you start listening for stuff, you're going A and B and back and forth between this, that, and the other until you get them to sound as close as possible to where it sounds, because he actually did record the vocal. These were two. So if you can see, this says Pastor Morgan and this says Pastor Morgan Fix. So initially, if I remember this record, this was last year, like mid part of last year at that. So this was like 8-9 months ago. If I remember correctly, there was a part of the first part of this record was he just sung through it, you know what I mean, all the way. And then he decided to come back, Pastor Morgan Fix, and they fixed some stuff and he added in the talking parts. And these were recorded at 2 different places, 2 different locations, 2 different engineers, 2 different microphones. This is the kind of stuff that, you know, we always deal with. This is common. Pretty sure if you've been doing anything in production and music and recording for years, you've had this happen to you. So I had to just work with what I had. So if I go to the EQ on there, it's a little bit different. So you can see this was the EQ on his singing mic, and then pull up the talking. And then this is the EQ on the talking mic. You know what I mean? So you can see 2. So obviously the what's it called mic, the singing or the talking mic was brighter than the singing mic. You know what I mean? So I just had to do what I could do to try to make it work and make the transition not sound as awkward, because you end up with this.
God gets.
Then he comes back here.
All right, now lift your voice right here.
See, you can tell they're 2 different mics.
Shout it to the world.
We're going to listen to this other part when he comes in and starts singing.
Here's why.
Mixing is a very, very hard art to master. I know, because I've been trying to master this art for several years. That is one of the reasons why I do Mix Mondays. It's a learning environment, and every mix that I do, I learn something new. And I've taken everything that I've learned over the years and we have poured it into our mixing templates. Mixing templates are a great starting place, and we have created several templates that allow you to get up and going quickly, and we have created them for Logic Pro X. We have created them for Pro Tools, for Studio One, for Ableton Live, and so many others. So if you're interested in taking your mixing to the next level, or even just getting started, make sure you check out these links down below in the description of this video and grab your template today. All right, back to the show. When he comes here, sings.
But he made all.
You know, it's not perfect. It's 2 different mics. So you're just doing what you kind of do to try to make it. When you hear it in the context of the mix, it sounds, you know, fine.
God can. All right, now lift your voice right here.
You see what I'm saying? So everything is presenting its own challenges. Compressor, I'm using the C2 by Fab Filter. And then we have this Pool Tech. And I got the same chain on both tracks. Then we got this Pool Tech. And as you can see, again, 2 totally different types of EQ. You can see the differences that I had to do to try to make these mics match. And I had to do the exact same thing with John P. Key's mic, as well as Pastor Tim Rogers' mic as well. There was just a lot of matching and EQing, because we're dealing with different people singing in different places, with different mics, with different engineers. But I pretty much kept the same flow on all of their voices. C2 as the compressor, and then the Pool Tech. So you can see the Pool Tech on Pastor Tim's vocal here, and then you can see the Pool Tech as well on John P. Key's vocal. So you can see I had to bump up 100, about 6 dB boost, 10K at 6, and cut 20 down to 4. You know what I mean? 5 here. This is almost the same, but we had to do, these were similar. These weren't as hard to match as that. But today I want to introduce to you loop elements. Pro. This represents a very innovative new way of using loops. And guess what? It's standalone not only as a plugin, but it's also standalone outside of the DAW, which means you can now use loop elements in your live performance. This isn't just a plugin. It's the ultimate tool for creatives and producers. Whether you're layering loops, creating click track, creating beats, building arrangements, soundscapes, Loop Elements Pro gives you the power to create without limits. Loop Elements Pro is now available. Go get it now.
Okay, so this is a live lead vocal. Let's talk a little bit about what I did to it. It's honestly pretty minimal processing. It was, again, recorded well, good isolation. First, and this is pretty standard, every time I start with a vocal, there's a roll off somewhere in that area, 100 hertz or so, and I'm tucking out something that's piercing in the 3700 hertz range. A little minor compression. This isn't going to be doing a ton.
Here we go. Ask him the question. Say, why would you worry? Why would you worry?
Quick little, did max in the whole song just over 5 dB at its loudest point. But for the most part, it's a little bit of just general balancing, general peak reduction, smoothing out. And then I use Soothe 2 on this as well. This also gets rid of harsh frequencies, resonant frequencies, that kind of thing. Let's see if we can showcase what that's doing.
Let's ask the question one more time. Say, why would you worry?
Great way to show this is to press this delta button, which will only let you hear what it's taking out, what it's removing.
Let's ask the question one more time. Say, why would you worry? Let's ask the question one more time.
Just helps get rid of that piercingness that can happen in vocals. I use that plugin every mix and almost always on the vocal. Next, I have a massive passive, which I also oftentimes love on vocals. And I'm using only 2 bands on it. This high band and this middle high band at 2.2K there. That one's being cut. So again, harsh frequency is going down, but I'm boosting up. This is a almost 4K shelf boosting up. So let's hear what that's doing. Let me get rid of these plugins so you just hear that.
Somebody ought to scream because that's a prophetic word for you. Let's ask the question one more time. Say, why would you worry?
And this one.
Somebody ought to scream because that's a prophetic word for you.
If I boost that.
Somebody ought to scream because that's a prophetic word for you. Let's ask the question one more time. Say, why would you worry?
I love that plugin. It works wonders for me on vocals. And I'm using a little bit of a clipper that I sometimes do on vocals, not consistently, but sometimes.
Somebody ought to scream because that's a prophetic word for you. Let's ask the question one more time. Say, why would you?
A little bit of kind of a saturation thing that just brought it forward a little bit more. So I liked that on this particular vocal and kept it, but that is it. That's pretty minimal processing of a lead vocal for me. And honestly, that's because it was recorded well with good isolation, and it's just a good performance of a live recording and didn't need a ton of things done to it. And same with effects. This is a pretty simple, straightforward. I'm using a stereo slapper that I like, slap delay.
Proving himself to you, and here's the best part. He'll do it again.
I'm using a plate, which I think is R-verb plate of some sort.
Somebody ought to scream because that's a prophetic word for you. Let's ask the question one more time. Say, why would you worry?
And lastly, an 1/8 note delay.
Proving himself to you, and here's the best part. He'll do it again. Proving himself to you, and here's the best part.
And that's an Echo Boy Jr. And those are rolling through the whole song. Those are not automated in level, I don't believe.
Listen, I hope you are enjoying this conversation with Yaahn Blass. I got something really quick that I want to show you though. Check this out.
Hey, this is John Blass. You may have seen that I just announced my gospel producers mixing class. My intent here is to let you into my thought process, my insights, how and why I do what I do every day to create the best art that I possibly can for clients that I respect so much. I get to work with some really incredible artists, and this is how I think about mixing and music and art and how I get to the finish line with these records. Click the link in my bio or scan the QR code to gain access to this class. So the overdubs.
We're going to have Bishop Hezekiah Walker help us with this one.
Can't say that in the live recording if he's not there, so we added that after the fact.
Welcome, Bishop Hezekiah Walker! Hey!
Same with that. So, you know, he did a great job of matching. The EQ is different because I needed it to match a little bit better. It was a little too bright for me. Other than that, it is exactly the same treatment, and I thought it blended pretty well.
God praise and sing it with us. Welcome, Bishop Hezekiah Walker! You can't win!
Bishop's track here, similar processing. You'll see, I mean, no big difference here. The EQ, same on the track. On the sub, a little bit different. I'm having to pull out some of this 400 hertz and some of the 25. But the same plugins with similar settings. This one, I obviously pulled that boost way back to almost nothing. It didn't need it. Again, this is an overdub, very different track, very different recording.
And you can't die!
And if I had had this up here,
and you can't die!
It felt too bright, too sizzly up there. It's almost doesn't feel bright, it feels icky. So that's that. I'm also adding another soothe to tame, again, that top end.
And you can't die!
So I'm emphasizing especially up in the way high range there to pull that back, to make it fit more into this live recording. Another EQ to do the same thing. I'm cutting a ton out at 13K there and dipping a little bit at even higher. And then I left this on the
gospelproducers.com.
Let's talk about the BGVs, the BVs, sorry. As we recorded them, three great singers, of course. How could I approach this? As you can see, I did a lot of out-the-box processing on their vocals coming in. So if you look on here, it's mainly gain staging because a lot of the EQing and compression was handled before getting in. And sometimes in the event of, like, we're recording choirs or even background vocalists, the benefit of having a console is sometimes in sections I will ride the faders, like basically like automation, knowing the song and knowing what they're doing dynamically. Sometimes not. So for this one, because they work together so much and so often, they have a nice blend already and they kind of know where they're at in the song and they feel the song together and know dynamically where they need to be. So for the most part, I'm great with those cats. Let's go with looking at what I did for the bus compression and then we look at effects and stuff as well for them. So shout out to Goshen. It's a little text thread homies and stuff, but they actually put me on this plugin that I was not aware of, and I'm not gonna lie, since I've heard about it and opened it up and started digging into that plugin. Haven't really looked back, right? And it's a compressor. It's actually like a mastering compressor, is what it's labeled as, but we use it for all kind of other stuff. All right, so I want to tame them still, you know? So let me get to a section we can. Let's do this section. Better it is.
One day in your courts than 1,000 elsewhere.
Right? So let's just stick to that. No, let's go to a better section. You where I want to be. Let's do that loop. Let's see.
I don't wanna leave. No,
Let's do it. All right, here we go. So
my spirit is at peace.
no compression.
My heart leads me straight to you.
All right, add compressor in.
My spirit is at peace as my heart leads me straight to you.
Right? Add some more saturation. Not really much saturation on this one. Okay, maybe I was wrong. But as you can see, I did add a little bit more of 220. I subtracted a little bit like 2.7-ish, but I added 10K. And even at 180, I pulled some out pause on there. And 150 rolled off, although you had that tenor in there. That Unison compressor actually brought some more life back into that low end. So even have a roll off at 12. It's kind of like a thing I like to actually do somehow, for some reason, like roll off and attenuate and actually boost in that same area. So then that's next we have 2A opto compressor, just to catch certain parts. As you can see, it's not really doing much. And then the color it gives sometimes is amazing. Like you got really listen detailed to hear what it's doing. All right. Then de-esser 902 is really old school, but does the job. All right. And then good old tape saturation. Let's add that in.
My spirit is at peace.
So that'll explain why I didn't do it on the actual the kit plugin, that 73 plugin, because I went ahead and added it here with this joint, a little jazz warmth. I tried, sometimes I demo out some of the presets in there. And if you like it, I like it. Sometimes I modify it, sometimes I don't. You don't always have to, It's not like the preset police gonna kill you, but this is not a jazz song. Jazz warmth work for it. All right. Now let's go to the final side of it. All right. Matter of fact, let's look at some of my processing right quick. On the vocals, I have about 6 options of colors. Well, nope, let's make that 5. That's still in there. But for the reverb, 7 Heaven, great. It's a hall, love it. Delay, H delay, which is just, the standard go-to. Don't always use it. Let's see, chamber is a 7 Heaven, which is the East Church, tongue twister, wow. Spaces vibe, it's really nice, cool. And then vocal delay, crystallizer, right? Oh, skip one. The 140 plate, beautiful. That's all I can say. So, yep, that's my vocal processing.
I'm excited to reveal something game-changing for us and for you as producers and musicians. I want to introduce to you Peculiar Sounds version 2. We've introduced standalone mode, allowing you to use it independently from any DAW. You can now blend up to 2 sounds to create rich and complex textures. We added in 2 brand new effects, the Lo-Fizer and the Mod Filter. The Lo-Fizer gives you instant lo-fi vibes with just a button, while the Mod Filter adds dynamic movement and flow to any sound you apply to. And we also added the innovative new MIDI browser that provides you with hundreds of chord progressions, melodies, and drum loop MIDI files that you can drag straight into your DAW. And as a bonus, V2 now includes Sounds Off the Block expansion for totally free, bringing the total to over 400 patches. So as you can see, Peculiar Sounds V2 is not just an update, it's a revolutionary new plugin. So make sure you check the website right now and you can get your hands on this game-changing plugin.
All right, so here we go. Let's talk about this lead vocal, all right? I'm more of a Melodyne cat, right? Melodyne is more of my thing, especially with the gospel side of things. It's just more natural for most records, and most artists don't want to hear that stuff on their gospel records. So I'm more of a what you call it, but I also sometimes use the autotune for a guide, right? I don't use it in a generic way. Most people set the scale. Nope, give me advanced, and I could do whatever I need to do, even with automation and stuff like that. So it's a taste of autotune, as you can see on here, not too heavy, just on this intro part. The reason why this is not printed or already down printed is because towards the like final, the lead singer wanted to come in and just recut or revisit that first part. So we would in and back and forth with different parts. So that's why I didn't print whatever decisions we made on there. Because this one is treated as one full lead. I know it looks like two different lead tracks. I don't do the real processing on the actual track itself. Sorry, I know that was looking weird for y'all. I don't do the processing like EQing and compression on there unless it's needed, unless I'm in a different studio or some in a different mic, whatever, and I need to treat it differently. So I usually just treat this main lead vocal out that I have set up as the one that controls it all. So let's dig into what I did before we even listen to it. Correction, some found problematic frequencies. There's some ducking on some of those things, like multi-band compression kind of vibe, even some expansion. All right, on the lead vocal. I don't like to always say frequencies because every song varies, every vocalist varies. So it's just hard to like just throw out frequencies. I could say like 2.5 is gonna be a problematic one that's the most common, or 200, but it don't always be that. Your chain could be sweet enough to where that's not a problematic frequency. So I don't like to really necessarily call out what I did, because some people take that as like the template, the go-to. So, but you can look, you can see, take from it what you will. Then compression. People go back and forth with the whole debate about EQing before compression or EQing after compression. It just depends on your workflow and the source itself. Stop getting stuck on what somebody said, looking and evaluate the source. Use your ears. Some compressors add color, some compressors add EQ, add harmonics. So you might not want to do it before, you might want to do it after. So it's just really that getting in, learning your plugins, learning your outboard gear, whatever it may be, finding out what it do to know what you want to do, if you need to put it before or after. On here is a 4-to-1 as the first compressor on here. I actually don't think I did much compressing on here because, again, I did record this, and I believe her vocal chain for this was, I had a 47 going, a U40. I think, no, this one, I actually used the newer one, but it is a 47 emulation. I can't think of the company name right now. But it's a 47. No, it's not Warm. I can't think of the name right now. Yeah, it's a 47 clone that I use on vocals. And I ran that one into, not the 1073. I didn't want it to break up as much. I ran it into the Rupert Neve Designs 511. And I did use some of the red silk on it. I didn't use a whole bunch. So if you're looking at it as a clock, it's probably like 1 o'clock, like 1 to 2 area. Did do a roll off on it. And I did trim it a little bit because she had some power points in here. From there, I went into, I was about to say the Tube Tech, which is one of the normal ones, but no, I have one of my favorite compressors of all time that I almost feel like I shouldn't say on this video. But it's a 500 series. It was made by this company that's no longer in existence or producing stuff. It's called the Brute. It's a 500 series compressor, and it's amazing. Tree Audio, I love y'all. I know y'all, I smacked the mic. Tree Audio, I love y'all. I know y'all done bought the company or whatever might have happened and y'all made the newer versions of it. I love it. I have 2 of them, but something about that Brute. So that was the compression, EQ, preamp chain coming in, mic chain. So that's why when I got to here, I did do 4-to-1, but I didn't go crazy on it. and you'll see, you'll hear it. The EQ, of course, I wanted a little bit more tube saturation, so I went with the Tube Tech again. Little boost at 8K. Widen the band on it, not just being sharp. Some people don't mess with that at all. Widen the band on it. Boosted a little bit 100, but also attenuated at 100 as well. And then EOS, Eosis, I think that's how they said, de-esser. I tried the female singing preset. If you have this and you look at it, maybe I tweaked something. I can't really remember off back, but maybe I didn't. Again, sometimes messing with presets work. And that was it. So let's take it from the top so you can hear. And I did do some, as you can see here, like I did some some actual automation on the vocals and stuff like that. Mainly the delay, I just did some mutes on there. But I did send her to the chamber and to the plate and to this other one, this Clark plate. All right. So let's listen to some of this beginning so you can hear those effects.
Your grace goes further than I'll ever know. Your love is the purest love anyone's ever shown. Your embrace is what I long for most. Feels like home.
Right? You heard the reverb, the delays come in. And that was requested by the artist as well. Right? Still not really. So one other thing I want to point out, I know oftentimes as engineers, we just automatically think that we should just de-breath everything. Listen to the song. Sometimes the song needs those moments. She had one in here where you could hear like a pant in there. If I'd have took that out, it wouldn't have felt the same in that moment. So listen to the song, listen to the context of the song. And then also I was trying to show that even in those moments that's big, you realize that the Unison compressor itself was not actually doing much compression because the outboard gear was already handling it. So a lot of that stuff was printed in prior to. And again, having a console also gave me the option to the flexibility to be able to ride the fader up and down in certain moments without having to change necessarily my gain staging on the preamp itself. So yeah, let's go into just the bigger part of the song. Let's go to the bridge. Barely hitting the compressor. And that was a big part. So another thing, as I would say, a tip for most engineers, especially those of us that's getting into a lot of different preamps and different microphones, there's a comment section in Pro Tools or whatever DAW probably that you have. Or if not, I cleared a lot of stuff out of here. I always clean my sections up before the mixing portion. But please, because situations like this where the artist came back and wanted to revisit something, I'd have had to sit down and try to think of the exact vocal chain to make it match. But thanks be to the Most High that I had it written down and I had it in my comments. Okay, this is where it's at. It's like taking those notes are very valuable, even knowing where your preamp was set at, your compressor was set at. Sometimes I even take pictures if it get too complex and I have to move too fast. So that's the lead vocal.
Today, I want to introduce to you Loop Elements. Pro. This represents a very innovative new way of using loops. And guess what? It's standalone not only as a plugin, but it's also standalone outside of the DAW, which means you can now use loop elements in your live performance. This isn't just a plugin. It's the ultimate tool for creatives and producers. Whether you're layering loops, creating click track, creating beats, building arrangements, soundscapes, Loop Elements Pro gives you the power to create without limits. Loop Elements Pro is now available. Go get it now. This is the kind of stuff that you deal with when you got like artists that are in different places. So when you get to John P. Key's, now Pastor P. Key was pretty, his mic, this is how it sounds.
I got joy, oh my God.
As you can hear, it's a little distorted.
On my heart.
Now his voice is crunchy all by itself, just by itself. It's growly, crunchy already, and it was distorted just a tad.
It's on my lips. I got joy, song on my heart, oh my God. Praise, that's only the start.
So I ran it through Isotope to try to clean it up some more. It was a little bit more crunchy than that. Isotope did its thing. Isotope RX did his thing. But, you know, at the end of the day, because he's already in a part that's where it's typically a screaming part, it worked out.
Pastor John P. Key.
A song on my heart, praise on my lips. I got joy, song on my heart, oh my God.
And then we get to Pastor Tim. Mixing is a very, very hard art to master. I know because I've been trying to master this art for several years. That is one of the reasons why I do Mix Mondays. It's a learning environment, and every mix that I do, I learn something new. And I've taken everything that I've learned over the years and we have poured it into our mixing templates. Mixing templates are a great starting place, and we have created several templates that allow you to get up and going quickly, and we have created them for Logic Pro X. We have created them for Pro Tools, for Studio One, for Ableton Live, and so many others. So if you're interested in taking your mixing to the next level, or even just getting started, make sure you check out these links down below in the description of this video and grab your template today. All right, back to the show.
Pastor Tim Rogers.
I gotta praise him. Oh, I will bless the Lord at all times.
So you kind of got that going on with Pastor Tim Rogers, and counterbalancing that against John P. Key, and just trying to make all of these mics mesh and match was very much the challenge of this particular record. Now now the actual bus that everything is going through. So just like I did with my lead vocals, I did the same thing with my same thing I did with my keys, I did with my lead vocals. We bust them all into a bus, drop Infinite EQ, cut some stuff, our compressor just to catch some peaks into this compressor, the old timer. It's layers of compression, so there's not much going. So here, I'm literally getting like 1 dB of compression, about 2 dB of compression right here, running it through CLA vocals. That's what this is doing. That's without CLA.
When I think about it.
Then we put it in.
When I think about it.
It adds a little weight. Multi-band. Cutting around 3K just to kind of dip out some of that, you know, harshness that we're hearing from, like, especially like John P. Key's mic, and this when they cutting out some of that stuff. That's typically in 3K, around 300, getting out some of the boxiness. Just a little bit.
When I think about it.
You know, Pro DS, you know, in here to catch the DS, the S's, the plosives. Soothe 2, one of my favorite plugins. If you don't know, you gotta know. It helps with harshness. It's a multi-band kind of. That's without Soothe.
When I think about it.
This is with Soothe.
I gotta praise him. Oh,
So it's dipping all of those frequencies that are harsh. Then this one was just to cut out whatever low end, because even though I got a cut here, this is another subtractive EQ to cut out what was introduced by adding in all these other plugins. It adds, because when you're adding in plugins, some plugins like Old Timer and all these different things like that, they're old emulation plugins. They're adding in low end. They're adding back what you took away. So you add in another EQ to kind of take that out. Pull Tech is at the bottom of the vocal chain. Just to catch, and it's not even really doing anything.
When I think about it, I gotta praise him.
So you can see it's not really doing anything, just catching stray transients, really. And then from there, we just got some buses going on, just some verbs, which I'll show you down below. Some of them aren't even being used. Yeah, nothing's going on there. And some of them may come in at different places in the song, all right? So that's pretty much the lead vocal. GospelProducers.com. What about the lead vocals getting it to sound big and sit in the mix right? Now, here's a little thing a little trick that I like here. This is why I love the Pull Tech and how you can use it to make your vocals sound big. So what I'm gonna do is, let's listen to this vocal in the context of the mix before we solo it. And let's hear it here.
There's no telling where I could have been. And when I think about it.
So you see how big that feels, right? So if I bypass, turn off the Pull Tech, listen to the difference.
My life was really supposed to end. But God came.
I'm gonna turn it back on.
And he rescued me from the trouble that
Without it.
I did not need.
He's the God of another chance.
He gave me a chance at life.
So you see the difference that 100 makes? I'm telling you, running trying to make 199 and a half won't do. Just that simple move of boosting 100 can change the dynamics on a vocal and make it sound way larger than what it needs. It's just the 100 to me for vocals is like the magic frequency. I don't know. I can't tell you scientifically. Some of the nerds want to get in and figure it out. But I can't tell you like scientifically what makes that work. All I can tell you is that 100 is like the magic frequency. So let's dig in. I'm gonna solo it this time and let's listen in like tandem to what's actually going on and let's hear it.
Once there's no telling where I could have been. And when I think about it,
I'm gonna dip it down.
my life was really supposed to end.
Let's just bump it.
But God came and he rescued me.
See how much bigger it's getting?
From the trouble that I did not.
You don't want to overdo it. It's just finding that sweet spot. For me, 5 dB at 100 on her vocal just worked. It made her sound massive. She's already in the middle, you know what I'm saying? But it made her sound massively bigger than what it was in normal. Just a sweet little boost right there, 5 dB at 100. Let me show you something else that makes it sound wider. Now we're gonna go up to the lead vocal bus at this point. And CLA, this is where CLA vocals kind of shines in making a vocal sound bigger. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna turn off, same section. We're gonna turn off, we're gonna play it with CLA vocals. And I'm gonna turn it off.
There's no telling where I could have been. And when I think about it.
Now let me show you the magic. This is the hack. I'm giving you this. Oh God, I'm giving you the sauce. Here's the hack right here. It's this little area right here where it says pitch. This is the sauce right here. It's this little preset that says wide right here. So if I turn this off, watch what happens. Same section, right? Mixing is a very, very hard art to master. I know because I've been trying to master this art for several years. That is one of the reasons why I do Mix Mondays. It's a learning environment, and every mix that I do, I learn something new. And I've taken everything that I've learned over the years and we have poured it into our mixing templates. Mixing templates are a great starting place, and we have created several templates that allow you to get up and going quickly, and we have created them for Logic Pro X. We have created them for Pro Tools, for Studio One, for Ableton Live, and so many others. So if you're interested in taking your mixing to the next level, or even just getting started, make sure you check out these links down and below in the description of this video and grab your template today. All right, back to the show.
Have been.
Now I'm gonna turn it on.
And when I think about it, y'all.
Turn it off.
My life was really supposed to end.
So you hear how much bigger it got because it serves the same purpose. All it is chorus. It's widening it. It's giving it some chorus. It's messing with the pitch, and it's widening, making the sound wider, right? What it's doing is it's just spreading it out. It's doing the same thing that the T-Rex spreader does. Remember the imager that I was using, I was showing you guys earlier. It's doing the exact same thing. It's stretching that vocal out and making it feel wider, stretching it out across your speakers, making it sound wider. So if I turn off CLA vocals and I turn off the Pool Tech, the same section, you're gonna hear a massively thinner vocal.
There's no telling where I could have been.
You see what I'm saying? Then if I turn them on.
And when I think about it, y'all.
So it gets a little bit bigger, wider, right?
My life
but it still doesn't have the weight.
Was supposed to end, but God came.
So now she sounds really, really big, really, really massive. Because she's already got a big, sultry, like a borderline, I know this is gospel music, but sexy voice, right? So you do what you can do to make it, to enhance it and make it sound bigger. So now when I take that and put that into the record, you get this.
There's no telling where I could have been. And when I think about it, y'all.
So you see what I'm saying? So it really makes it bigger, more in your face, more that you layer those things with compression and EQ and saturation and all of those fun things, and you get a bigger, fatter vocal, right? So that's kind of like where that kind of works in or what have you. Y'all, want to thank you for making it to the end of this clip. We appreciate you watching this breakdown. If you want to see more videos like this, please feel free to check out the links right over here. If you want to take your production, mixing, or whatever to the next level, or check out some of the other products that we have, make sure you check the links down in the description and in the comment section of this video. All right. I appreciate you guys. We'll see y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace.